So to begin with, what are the kind of concessions that you have received from SEBI for this IPO? Because the size of the IPO doesn't match to the SEBI policies. And so if you can elaborate what are
So I
the...
think the one dispensation that we've got from SEBI is to lower the minimum 5% to 3.5%. That was necessitated because, again, as I said, because of the war and other things, and whether the appetite is there for the market to take on such a big amount. So that is the dispensation that SEBI has given.
And what about the anchor book
So,
restrictions,
uh,
locking?
no, those are as usual. I
So
don't think
30,
that
90 days holds for that?
30 days, 30 days.
30 days. So because the new rules were supposed to be
I
50 days.
believe it is 30. I don't think that.
So what about the float? Eventually, there's a 2 year within 2 years, you have to reach 10%, and then within 5 years, you have to reach 25%. Is there a timeline that you have given to SEBI as part of this?
No,
No.
no. If you see the RHP, I mean, there's no such timeline given. Everything is there in the RHP, of course. But it's a government to take a call on that. But I believe that at least for now, with the kind of situation we have, it may take some time for even government to decide whether they want to go ahead with a follow-on immediately. I don't think it's good.
Mr. Kumar, basically, you yourself mentioned that at one time we expected 65,000 to 70,000 crores of valuation. We have come down to 21,000 crore issue for 3.5, which basically means 30 odd thousand crores for 5% stake, which we are talking about. Uh, is it a desperate attempt to list at this point in time? You could have waited some more time for a better thing. Or there's a huge headwinds coming to you: COVID resurgence, war, Fed tightening in India, RBI is tightening, and there are tightening of liquidity, which is also happening. Uh, all these are coming at a time. You could have waited for some of the factors to do it, so that you have a better, investor flow which can come in.
I won't call it desperation. In fact, it is a sign of strength. I would say that even in this condition, where most IPOs are put on the back burner, we are going ahead with it. And that strength comes from the fact that we know the market. We've been investment managers for decades now. We know how things pan out. And we believe we have the confidence that this can happen.
So, won't there be an overhang of this on your share price, because you're coming out with 3.5%, and subsequently you have to come out with a issue every year to reach that threshold, and that would always be overhang on the share price going forward. So returns of shareholders will be...
Share price will probably depend a lot more on the way we perform and the way we grow and what kind of shareholder value we create, even with this 3.5%. Once you're able to do that, I don't think there'll be any problem in further dilution later.
So we saw HDFC Life coming out with its earnings yesterday. They are inching towards 30% VNB margins at currently at 27.2%, and you're sub 10%. In fact, your margins have fallen from 9.9% at the end of March to 9.3% in September. Where are we going to see the VNB margin, and what is the kind of levers that you have to push that margin up beyond 10%?
Right. So, I mean, if you look at, I don't want to name any company, but if you look at the listing of private peers, whenever that happened, and if you compare that with what we are doing at this point of time, would make better sense because then after the listing, a lot of things have happened, and that will happen here too. And therefore, we will be able to grow that. Ashok will be able to explain.
Yeah, actually, what you say is true. But when we look at the other players when they listed, they were also in the same range where we are now. So we and if we look at our margins on non-par products, they are quite high at around 80, more than 80%. So with a focus on a strategy to focus on non-par products, so we expect that the VNB margins to move
Sir,
up.
sir, you spoke about the embedded value, and you said that the economic variance for LIC is different from what it is for private players. What is the kind of impact that can have on your embedded value going forward? Because you have a much bigger history, so the variance would be also much higher in when you calculate the embedded value. So, if you can give us a perspective on the variance and what are the factors which are...
Yeah, actually, what happens is this: the major component of this economic variance is the mark-to-market gains. LIC has a very big equity portfolio. Total equity portfolio size is around 25% of our book size, and we have quite a good number of stocks in there, most are blue chip, and there has been a good movement in the stocks over the period, and that was not taken credit for in the regular valuation, because regular valuation we cannot take credit for that. So in the IEV we can take credit for that. So that is one of the reason why the movement appears to be quite big.
So the market variation would have a major impact on the IEV if tomorrow, means for the Q4, if the market has corrected significantly, that means that your IEV would come down at the end of Q4.
No, actually, it has some impact because if you look at the filing with the DRHP, where we have given the elements with the actuary who performed these calculations, the sensitivity of the IEV to various parameters is listed there. Yes, it is true that the IEV is sensitive to the equity changes.
But let me add to what Ashok said, that one-off kind of a thing that happened, if you remember April 2020, the COVID and the kind of markets crashing. So we survived that as well, right? And we have a long history and legacy of, and basically all of you know that we buy and hold. We're not very much on churning. So that being the case, unless there's a one-off event that happened like that, there's not going to be a major impact.
Mr. Kumar, 10% of the issue is for policyholders. You ran a big campaign connecting policyholders to your PAN and DMAT. Can you give us an idea of what is that pool of that policyholders who have DMAT or DMAT ready and can invest in the LIC?
That I would not know because that is not part of the
Okay,
database
PAN-
we have.
PAN
But
connected.
PAN, I think more than 2 crore policyholders have indicated and given their PAN numbers. Now, whether they have given it because they have the DMAT or they just given it because we asked for it is something that I will not be able to say.
So 2 crore is the pool which can invest in this. Also, you have mentioned the RHP that employee quota would be up to 5%, but it's much lower. It's less than 1% which has been kept for employee. Why is that?
No, employee quota, I think even if everybody applies and for the maximum limit, and that is all they will be able to get. If you look at the, I think 15 lakh odd shares in the lottery, we have about 1 lakh. And so ultimately at the cutoff and possibly everybody is going to get 15 shares. That's all there is going to be.
So what about the digital channel? What is the strategy to of pushing your products through the digital
Digital,
channel?
we have a lot of plans. We have recently tied up with Policy Bazaar as well. We have the Common Service Center CSC of government, which has more than I think 3 lakh outlets in the country.
What percentage of your policies currently?
Slowly, it has started because this is something we started very recently.
Mhm.
But also online sales is something that we are working on. We are working on a fully automated digital platform, unlike the one we had earlier. And this is also in the works.
What is your strategy for IDBI stake which you have? Because there is an RBI requirement and IRD requirement to bring it down. Where are we on
We
that
have some
project?
time left, both as per the RBI and the IRD guidelines. But I think I've said this before that we would like to have a continuing relationship with the bank because as bancassurance, as you asked recently, they have been the best partner for us.
So you will retain a minority stake.
To have some stake to ensure that as a bank partner, as a bancassurance partner, we will continue to have them with us.
Sir, so if IDBI gets divested, do you really need to take that call on the home loans thing?
Maybe not. So that's why I said it will depend on how that part happens.
My final question to you, sir, if you look at the growth plans for you have which is in conjunction with your digital plans, what is the kind of growth rate you are expecting to grow? Because the industry was growing at 9%. What is the kind of growth rate or multiple which you're looking
In terms of premium and policies both, if you look at premium, we would probably like to grow at 15-20% next 2-3 years. Policy also may 10-12%.
What about the value of new business?
BNB also should grow that level. I think Ashok has.
See, once it all depends on how the mix of business happens. If our strategy to grow non-par pans out well, then it will grow at a faster rate than the growth of the business.
Thank you, sir.